Let me get everything set up here. All right. Hello. How's it going? I am here. I am getting over this weird not really knowing how to interact with this microphone right now. And I know I'm just talking to you if you're listening to this, which you will be. I need to start showing up in my life and in what I'm doing. Um, it's me, it's Alex. It's full blown summer here in France. Today I went with my boyfriend and our dog to this lake that I love, and it's basically one of my most favorite places in France. Well, in France around where I live, which is in Toulouse. But it's summer and it's wonderful. And it's just one of those days where you hang up your laundry to dry outside on your balcony and your clothes are dry in like 30 minutes. So that's how that is, that like dry-ish heat, which hasn't gotten anywhere close to a heat wave yet. It was pretty intense last summer. But anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about the weather. I think I'm just kind of getting my podcast legs going. My boyfriend Arthur is out right now, and I am taking advantage of this empty apartment to just come at it with a little bit more energy and as if I'm talking to one of my best friends because you are my friends and I'm talking to you. So let's get into it. I'm going to grab I don't need to say that. Today, I want to talk about my specific goals for this podcast, for the Ladies Code Collective podcast. Before we get into that, I've been going so back and forth lately with just starting this podcast and feeling as though I'm such a beginner and newbie and kind of my brain keeps going back and forth of like, okay, well, you just got to start it, just got to get to it. And then on the other end of the spectrum, it's just like, okay, well, actually, you don't really know how to do this. And so we're just like going to procrastinate until you just decide to do something else. But I'm just like, no, I'm doing it. I'm going for it. I am talking right now and I'm just getting more and more comfortable with talking into a microphone and not trying to simultaneously judge myself or overanalyze what I'm saying at the same time that I'm saying it, if that makes sense, which I'm sure it does because our brains are not all that different when it comes down to it. Anyway, this is a manifesto, if you will, a little bit about just starting things. And even if they're bad at the beginning, which I'm not saying this is, but even if you think something's going to be bad at the beginning, you can only imagine how much better you'll get just by starting and then iterating from there. I always say to myself and to others, what is the next immediate step from here? Is it going one step forward, one step to the left, to the right, etc., stepping back and recalculating things? What's the next immediate step? And then from there, you'll get so much clarity over what to do next or which direction to take. And so that's kind of what I'm doing with this podcast. And it's what I've always done in my creative pursuits. It's just one foot in front of the other until you can look back in a certain amount of time and just be astounded by all the ground you've covered. So snaps to that. Let's move on to the specific goals I have for the podcast itself. I think once these intro-ish episodes are all out of the way, I'm going to start really getting into more themed episodes where it's like about a certain topic, which I think will be just overall more organized and easier to follow. So I think it is important to get these introductions out there and to talk about what what my vision is for the podcast and what, at least for now, because visions always, what do visions always do? They always change and develop and grow over time, and what we want now and today is definitely not the same as what we're going to want, you know, even a couple months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. So that's definitely what I've learned in my experience of life. So let's get into it with the first specific goal for the podcast. Number one, it's to discuss and celebrate the intersection of coding, logic, and creativity. I started teaching myself to code about a year and a half ago, and I just fell in love, an absolute love, with the fact that I could use my love of solving problems, of solving puzzles, that kind of thing, and also fuse it together with the types of creative inclinations I have, or if I have an idea for a creative adventure kind of, or just like project I want to do, I can just pull it together on a computer and like create something from scratch. And I just love that. And I think so many times with coding, with learning to code, teaching yourself to code, however you're learning to code, I think it's really difficult to embrace that free sort of curiosity, that free, I just heard something weird, free creativity, and that you're allowed, what am I saying? I think when you're specifically learning to code in whatever respect, whether you're teaching yourself or you're going through a boot camp or anything like that, I think we get super bogged down in the very fixed mindset, if you will, of, okay, what's my next step after this? What's the specific blueprint for what I need to be doing? I don't even know why I'm wearing these headphones. What's the specific blueprint I need? And it doesn't leave so much room for the types of creativity that I think are necessary for our, one, skill development to really grow, and two, just to be able to expand our experience into things that we may not have been exposed to had we not just been curious to follow that path. So that's the first goal, is just to discuss and celebrate that intersection of logic and creativity that so many of us fall in love with, and is so unexpected, right? I think that especially as women, I just read this study. It was by DreamHost. They did the State of Women in Tech 2020. And I learned that if girls are exposed to computer science in middle school or high school, they're 10 times more likely to major in it in college. And I always think about that. Like, when I feel like I would have loved to study or start studying computer science as a young school age girl, middle school, high school. But I think we're just not exposed to it. And so, especially in the form of it being a very creative pursuit, or it can be a very creative pursuit, and we can build whatever we want with coding, and really bring certain projects and ideas we have to life. I think, I don't know, I just think that that's really amazing, and definitely an area that we can improve on as a society. So that's the first one, in a very long-winded, a roundabout kind of way. Number two is to encourage women of all backgrounds to embrace the creative side of learning to code, as opposed to relying on any hard and fast one-size-fits-all blueprint. And actually, this is definitely going back around to what I just said, just about being able to embrace our creativity when learning to code as a means to make it a more well-rounded kind of effort. as a way to make it more unique to who we are as individuals. And so if I'm interested in something, I don't even know what the first thing that comes to mind is actually astrology. I really don't know why. It was astrology, and I can build something based on like everyone's zodiac or like a quiz or something, and then be able to just continue on with that. That type of code is going to be so much more interesting to me, and like learning to add new implementations, to add new features to a certain project will just be more engaging for the people who, or for me, or just for anyone who that specific topic is interesting to, than just a simple to-do app. And I definitely see the value in getting to a point where you can start being creative and selecting the projects that are interesting to you. I definitely have been there where I knew I wanted to do certain things, but I didn't know exactly how to get there. But I think once you do reach that point of what do they say? It's like learning enough to be dangerous. And so in that case, I think it's like learning enough to be able to expand to wherever you want to go and not necessarily follow any hard and fast, okay, so you learn JavaScript, okay, you go on to this right now, this is the type of project you'll do right now, even if it's something that's totally not interesting to you. And then number 3 is to build a community of women in tech who can both offer and receive support around their pursuit of learning to code and building their respective creative projects. So by that, I mean, this is for women who are either learning to code, considering learning to code, and also women who already code and may already have careers in software engineering, software development, but who maybe want to get back to the more creative side of coding, and maybe they've kind of lost that spark that they may have had right at the beginning of when they were learning to code, and getting it back and being able to just pursue their own creative impulses. I always love to say that, pursuing creative impulses, but also just maybe they want to develop an app that they haven't gotten around to because obviously life, work, family, all that, it's makes for a busy life. And maybe this can just be a little bit of I don't know, like a welcoming home kind of for that creativity to just light everything back up. So those are my 3 specific goals for the podcast. I know 1 and 2 are very similar. The first, to discuss and celebrate the intersection of coding and creativity. The second, to encourage women of all backgrounds to embrace the creative side of learning to code, and to build a community of women in tech who can offer and receive support around their pursuit of learning to code. And I think that's it for now. I think this is running a little bit over. I know that I want these episodes to kind of be short and sweet, trying never to be more than 20 minutes. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I recognize that this is also me being very, well, this is like, I don't know if it's good, I don't know, but you know what? This is such a beginning project, and I'm so excited about it that I don't even care. Like I've started so many projects in my life and carried them through to a significant place, I guess. And so this is just another one. This is me pursuing this creative pursuit of mine, and I'm excited for you to follow along. I'm excited to embrace the journey and see what comes of it. So thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.